What's going on, everyone? So real quick, before we dive into it, anybody that has not watched episode 1 of season 3 of From, here's your chance to click off of this video right now. Of course, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel on the way out, and then, of course, come back after you've seen episode 1 to join the conversation, because very fascinating stuff, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody because I know it just came out like 2 days ago. So here's your chance. Okay, let's get into it. Now, one of the big surprises in episode 1 of season 3 was when Tabitha, in what appears to be the real world. Now, I know it seems like we got confirmation it's the real world, but I have a whole like deep dive video I'm going to go into of clues that have been hidden in the background that signal she might not actually be in the real world. One of those clues is the boy in white. So Tabitha gets out of the hospital because they relayed to her that the police are on their way, that it's a formality. She doesn't want to get caught up by the police. She finds out later after talking to her mom that the police are looking for her because her, Jim, and Julie and Ethan have all disappeared, and they've been a hunt for them. So she leaves, Tabitha leaves, and then ends up seeing the boy in white. And the boy in white ends up leading her on this path to ultimately like an ice cream shop. She ends up mistaking a little boy in the shop for the boy in white. Turns out it's not him, and doesn't really see him after. But it was a real surprise because it begs the question of how is she able to see the boy in white? Now, obviously there are really several paths you could take in trying to dissect this. And obviously I think we'll more likely unravel it at some point during this season. But in the meantime, let's kind of go down a couple rabbit holes here. So first option is that she really isn't out of Fromville. Again, maybe she's in another layer. Maybe she's in another area. Again, got some real clues as to, kind of hinting towards she might not fully be there. That the real world, that is, that she may still be in a version of Fromville, maybe a different time, maybe, a different level, right? Maybe like a heaven and hell type thing. Maybe she's in this, more peaceful version of it. Just an idea. Again, have a lot of theories to dive into, so stay tuned for future videos. But another option is that even though she is maybe in the real world, maybe she's tethered to Fromville. Right? Maybe when you leave from, you're still tethered in a way, right? Like maybe because she sees the boy in white. And there are, again, these little subtle clues without that kind of signal that maybe she's not in the real world. But it could just be kind of this layout of kind of clues that link her to Fromville, right? Also, she ends up landing in Maine, right where Victor lives, right? Like, Maine, as far as we know, isn't like the main spit out point, no pun intended, right? Like, all of these people that have all entered Fromville are all from different areas, different walks of life. Now, it is possible that maybe Victor is connected to the origins, but we see dates dating back to the 1500s. So unless Victor, which we saw him as a little boy, is really like hundreds of years old, right? Like there's something not right. Unless the boy in white actually took Tabitha exactly where she needed to go, right? Now, one of the things about the boy in white is he continuously kind of is the one safe haven, the one kind of good, or appears to be good. Again, you don't know all the details, right? But appears to be good in a way to help all of these characters, right? He ends up pushing Tabitha out of the lighthouse, which he says is, I'm sorry, this is the only way, right? Apologizing to her and then essentially killing her, right? And then she wakes up in this place, which again, could signal a version of maybe heaven or something, and maybe the boy in white is this sort of angel that is sent to kind of help balance out the good and the evil, right? That very well could be a potential and a possibility in that regard. But we see him help Boyd. We see him help Sarah, right? We see him obviously have a connection to Victor and Ethan, right? There's scenes in the trailer of season 3 where the boy in white and Victor, even as a kid, are kind of having this relationship, right? And even Victor says that he went away for some time in season 1, right? So again, maybe it is this sort of angel in this place of demons that is there to kind of balance and establish this again sort of balance, for lack of a better word. And there's clearly a way. Now, again, if it is an angel or it is this sort of entity that's able to help and be this sort of guide for these travelers of Fromville, it would make sense that maybe he can travel in both realms, right? Also, what if he just followed her, right? Now, we'll see if he pops up in Fromville, but like, what if he doesn't, right? Like, Victor said that the boy in white had gone away for some time. What if the boy in white followed somebody else that had gotten out, right? Like, we don't know what people were there before the current roster that we have, right? We don't know what the results were. We don't know if if Tabitha was able to kind of come to that conclusion, who's to say somebody else didn't? And like a previous wave of people, right? So it's very possible that the boy in white maybe kind of, latched on to her and kind of tailed her to the real world and is, pushed her out so that way she could go through this portal or whatever it turns out to be. And maybe he jumps in after because he's not this flesh body. He's not this physical body in which he needs to maybe kind of lead to a sort of death. There's a lot of rabbit holes that you can kind of connect to this. And again, that's just the beauty of this show, right? That there are so many different directions in which you can go, so many variations, right? Every like new just moment in the show. Like, I'm not even talking about full scenes. I'm talking about like just little moments you can interpret 100 different ways. And clearly the boy in white has some real significance, both in Fromville and what appears to be, at least momentarily, in the real world, and seems to be trying to help Tabitha. And I would imagine this isn't going to be the only time that the boy ends up helping Tabitha, right? Now, thing is like, why would he lead her to like an ice cream shop, right? Like, why would he lead her to that point? Because it wasn't like she discovered Victor's last name and location or father's location through that ice cream shop. No, right? Now you could argue that the boy in white kind of took her in the direction she needed to go, right? Because goes into the ice cream shop, she mistakens that other kid, she kind of just runs out in embarrassment, ends up kind of walking aimlessly down that road, and then comes across that pop-up shop and, has the interaction, asks to borrow the phone, talks to her mom, and then notices the church, in which, also worth noting, which was odd, was that the priest not only chased her out, which not out of the place, but chased her out of the confession booth to kind of try to console her and talk to her. And, she says, "You think I'm crazy?" And he says, "I think you're in pain." And basically trying to extend a hand out. But he also asks her, "What did he pack you for lunch?" And then kind of, again, I've watched this episode several times already just because, I always want to watch it once as a fan, just to enjoy it, and then kind of watch it as a content creator and really start navigating and breaking all this stuff down and, be able to create these types of videos. And his facial expressions and kind of the way he behaved really was odd in my opinion. Now, of course, going down all these rabbit holes and all these theories, there's always a possibility that I'm just looking into stuff a little too much, but that's the beauty of this show, right? That's the fun of this show. That's what makes this show so engaging and makes these types of videos so much fun, not only to create, but to, have the conversations with you all down in the comments, right? So again, it's just, obviously there's so much more to this onion that needs to be peeled back, so many different layers that I am really looking forward to kind of unraveling this mystery through each independent episode. But man, what an interesting point. Like when I saw the boy in white, it was like, oh, it's him. Like, what is going? So she's not out, right? Because she doesn't talk. Like she sees the boy in white and everything, and then again, there's a clue that she's still in Fromville in the hospital. Again, I'm gonna do a whole breakdown video, so stay tuned to that. It's just a lot to put together, right? Kind of trying to go through everything, make sure I don't miss anything, and of course I probably still will, but stay tuned for that. But there is something that kind of signals that she's in Fromville, still in the hospital. Well, several things, and then you see the boy in white, and it's like, oh, she really is still in Fromville, right? And just in another layer, another level, right? And then she gets on the phone and talks to her mother, or at least what appears to be her mother, right? Something that you need to keep in mind. We don't know for sure if that was actually her mother, right? It very well could have been Fromville kind of messing with her and kind of playing this up, right? So again, but that's the beauty of this show. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you feel about the boy in white being and appearing in the real world, or what appears to be the real world with Tabitha? Do you have any theories or ideas in regards to kind of the boy in white, what you think he is? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.